This is an intriguing video about Tesla's future. The company has transformed the automotive industry and is currently spearheading the renewable energy sector. The video explores how Tesla could control the market by offering a subscription-based service for fully autonomous driving FFS, which involves downloading software onto cars and generating a 60% profit margin by 2030. Additionally, Tesla's energy business is booming. $100 billion in sales expected in 2023 alone. This video gives you an understanding of Tesla's financial projections and explains how having this knowledge can help you take advantage of early retirement. Before we begin, join us as we explore the fascinating world of Tesla and its prospects for success in the upcoming years. I hope you click the like button and become a Tesla subscriber. It makes logical to provide FSD as a subscription service, even if Tesla acknowledges that they do not yet have enough data to properly support this concept. Since FSD is software that can be downloaded onto a car, they have conducted rough calculations and project that the profit margin will be 60 by 2030, which is pure profit. I am confident that FSD will be controlled by 2030 and Tesla's margin might be much greater. Plus, they still have, according to Tesla Energy, their entire revenue in 2022 was close to $4 billion, and they made about $300 billion in profit in the final quarter of the year with a 12% margin. And they estimate that they will make $7.5 billion with a 12% rate in 2023 and $11.5 billion with a 13% margin in 2024, with the amount rising by 50% annually until 2030. I estimate that the company will bring in over $100 billion in revenue overall in 2023. However, Tesla will have to pay FX currency expenses, which will lower its net income in 2023. They estimate that Tesla will pay nearly $1.55 billion, which will drop their net income from over $17 billion to just under $16 billion. Again, in my opinion, Tesla's shares will continue to dwindle by 2% annually from 2023 to 2030 without buybacks or dividends. They are hopeful that the entrance rates will decrease, weakening the US dollar and cutting costs, but I predict that this expense will continue to rise year after year. By the end of the decade, they project that Tesla's total revenue from FSD energy and automobiles will exceed $750 billion. This is a reasonable estimate given additional plans Tesla has for the future, such as the advancement of its robot towards fully autonomous. While some may believe this prediction is absurd, consider that in 2020, the cost of fully autonomous driving was $8,000. By the end of 2022, that price had nearly quadrupled to $15,000. This means that by 2030, the one-time fee will be worth approximately $30,000. Because the average price in 2022 is $12,500. I'm being conservative for my projection. I think the price will double again in the next 7 years, maybe even more. And that by 2030, the FSD profit margin, which can reach up to 60, will result in pure profit. This is because by 2030, the car will be able to drive itself and will be regulated thanks to software that can be downloaded onto it. I think Tesla will be able to resolve this FSD issue, and I'm projecting a profit margin of up to $38 billion by then. Together with FSD, Tesla's energy business is booming in 2022. In the final quarter of 2022, the company generated almost $4 billion in revenue and profits with a 12% margin. This is crazy. And I predict that in 2023, they will generate $7.5 billion in total revenue with a 12% margin, or $900 billion for the entire year of 2023. Because Tesla has stated that they want to match the energy sector's revenue with their vehicles, which is currently at 20, but it could be much more than that. I'm being conservative with this prediction as well. By 2023, I predict that Tesla will have achieved a great accomplishment of reaching $11.05 billion in total revenue with a 13 margin, or almost $1.5 million. After that, the revenue will increase by 50 every year until 2030, and the profit margin will also increase annually. Right? It appears that Tesla has a bright future ahead of it. After all, their energy and vehicle divisions generate over $750 billion in revenue annually. And that doesn't even account for the upcoming Tesla bot and other projects. Still, we must exercise caution when it comes to earnings. I predict that by the end of this year, we will have earned over $17 billion in revenue. And by the end of 2030, we will have made over $170 billion in profits. However, we must take into account the FX currency expense, which will reduce our overall income in 2023. For instance, we will pay almost $1.5 billion in FX currency expenses, which will reduce our income from over $17 billion to just under $16 billion. Nevertheless, in the grand scheme of things, this will not have a significant effect. Let's talk about shares from 2023 to 2030. There will be a 2% dilution, no buybacks, and no dividends. As for EPs, it was 4.70 in 2022. I predict that by the end of this year, we will have 486 EPs, and by the end of 2030, nearly 47 EPS. That really is amazing. Let's now discuss the stock price for 2022. After a difficult year, Tesla's stock fell by roughly 70 to 80%. The average for Tesla stock was around $204 per share with a 50 bit. It did go down to $102 per share at one point, but the full fiscal year wasn't ended yet, so it might go even lower. But if you had invested $10,000 in Tesla stock at $204 per share, you would have about 49 shares, and with the current stock price ping pong at around $180 to $170, you might have made a decent profit by the end of the year, the first quarter of 2024. I expect the stock market to enter a bullish state with inflation coming down in the Federal Reserve pausing at a P of 60 and a stock price of $292 per share. Tesla's market cap would almost reach $1 trillion. If this happens, your initial investment of $10,000 would turn into over $14,000, a return of 40%. Even if the stock stays within the fifth type range, you could still make a return of 20, which is a lot. I believe that in 2024, Tesla's stock could reach a very optimistic top of 65 and a stock price of $478 per share with a market cap of over $1.5 trillion. If this happens, your initial investment would be worth over $23,500, a return rate of almost 230% in 2025. I projected a market capitalization of about $2.2 trillion, AP of 60, and a stock price of 650 per share. Your $10,000 investment would now be worth around $32,000, which is absurd. By 2026, Tesla might divide its shares possibly 4-to-1 if the market enters a significant bull market. I'm projecting a P of 55, stock price of $828 per share, and a market capitalization of more than $2.8 trillion. As of 2027, your initial investment would be worth over $52,000, more than 5 times what you started with. I anticipated a P of 50 and a stock price of $1611 per share with a market capitalization of $3.7 trillion. Now, with a P of 35, your investment would now be worth more than $73,000. More than 7 times what you invested when you first started in 2030. I forecast a $1,632 per share stock price and a market capitalization of more than $6 trillion. From now to 2030, your initial investment of $10,000 would be worth about $80,000, 800% growth. That wraps up our discussion of Tesla's prospects. While some of the predictions may seem ambitious, it's clear that Tesla has a lot of potential for growth and profitability in the coming years. Of course, we must account for expenses like FX currency, but overall, the outlook is positive. Thank you for watching. As I said, we hope to see you in our next video. I know this may sound crazy, but I'm going all in on Tesla stock because the growth potential is incredible. Even if my predictions are only half true, you could still see a return of 40%, which is still amazing.